Wii Sports is a classic childhood game that many people remember playing when they were growing up. From hitting balls out of the park in baseball, to beating up computers in boxing. Wii Sports allowed kids to enjoy sports without the effort of actually playing any sports. Though it was probably not the best thing to do with your time, this game created a lot of fun for the whole family, and everyone was addicted to this game. It's still considered one of the best games of all time, selling over 82 million copies worldwide. Today we're going to deep dive into the history of Wii Sports and see why it was such a hit sensation.
In the beginning.
On November 19th, 2006, Nintendo released a brand new device that would impact millions of people around the world. That device was known as the Nintendo Wii. The Wii was Nintendo's sixth game console, following the Color TV game series, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, and the Panasonic Q. The Wii was created around the same time as the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. All three of them had their own benefits, with the Wii allowing users to use movement sensors with their remotes and nunchucks to interact with their games. Players would use the remote in one hand and the nunchuck in the other, allowing gaming to be more intuitive. For simple controls, the Wii was very easy for non-gamers to use, opening a gateway to thousands of people who had never gamed before. It's apparent that the Wii had a major cultural impact, and as of 2022, the Wii is the 7th best-selling home console of all time. Nintendo were going to release several other versions of the Wii, such as the Wii Mini, Wii Family Edition, and the Wii U, so it's safe to say that Wii had a good impact on the world.
Deploying flashbang.
With a new audience to entertain, the Wii's goal was to create an experience that non-gamers would easily be able to play and understand. However, they needed something that would appeal to a broader audience. Games such as Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time were very complex, and they needed a game that was more palatable for the average person. Enter Wii Sports. Wii Sports was released at the same time as the Wii. Nintendo sold the Wii in a bundle, with Wii Sports included. That was unless you were Japanese and had to buy the game separately. Though this sounds weird, Nintendo consciously made this decision. The reason for this was essentially to force people who just bought Wii to own Wii Sports, as they believed people would not just buy the console just to play Wii Sports. Honestly, it kinda makes sense, but damn, why have you got to do Japan like that? Just bundle it for everyone, then everyone could be happy. As stated, there were 5 sports that were included within Wii Sports. These included tennis, baseball, bowling, golf, and boxing. All of these allowed users to play their favourite sports, and golf I guess, from the comfort of their own home, using characters called Miis that would represent them inside of the game. There were other game modes within Wii Sports as well, including training mode, where players could enhance their sports skills, or fitness mode, where players would be told that they were useless at sports through the Wii Fitness age. Imagine telling people they're unhealthy and older than they should be. Wonder why Nintendo thought this was a good idea. Oh well. At least it only told them their age, and didn't tell them they were abused or anything. Imagine doing that. When playing any of these 5 sports, players were rewarded with skills points. Skills points were allocated based on how well the player did in the sport. Once you reached 1,000 skills points, you were classed as a professional in the sport. Sounds easy, right? Well, it wasn't. Not only would you lose skills points if your opponent beat you, but some of the opponents you'd go against were wild. Nintendo released 60 Miis that players could interact with in some of the sports. I have a personal vendetta against some of these Miis to this day, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Now that we've discussed the basic premise of the game, let's get into more specific sports and see why they're all so lovable, for the most part. Which one is the best though? For fun, let's rank them all and just discuss them a bit.
You have great tits.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't mind golf in Wii Sports. However, when looking at all the other sports, it just leaves a lot to be desired. I think the main drawback is that compared to a lot of other games, this one's more technical. The main reason for this is the wind speed, but there are many external factors in the other sports. The wind changes in every putt during golf. I'm not sure on exact figures or anything specific, but a user called Tendog released some figures for golf in Wii Sports Resort, the sequel game to Wii Sports. Whether this is the same maths for Wii Sports is unknown, but it's interesting to know, and honestly, it's surprising that it's so random. Aside from wind, the courses are also quite long. Though this is typical for regular golf, sitting through 9 holes can sometimes be quite boring. The broken down levels make the game a bit more enjoyable, but honestly, it's still the same thing. And if you took out hazards and out of bounds, it would be slightly more fun, but honestly, that goes against golf. For me, I think it's the weakest game in Wii Sports, but I'm sure a golf expert could tell you that it's the best sport in the game. If there was more interaction, I do think this game would be a bit better. Like golf, boxing can be quite lonely if you don't have friends. However, there is a major upside to this sport compared to golf, and that's the fact that it's physical. The arguments and pure panic that would ensue when playing boxing was way more exciting than anything that happened in golf. Like regular boxing, the goal is to knock out your opponent, be that a CPU or one of your friends. Each boxer has a health bar, or circle I guess. Once a player ran out of health, they would be knocked out. If the player didn't get up in 10 seconds, the game would be over and the remaining boxer would be declared the winner. For some reason as a child, I believe that shaking your remote violently whilst knocked out would help you get up quicker, but I don't think that ever actually helped. If no one was fully knocked out by the end of the game would be judged by performance. Pretty much just like the actual sport. Again, there isn't much to this one, except taking your angst out on the NPCs. I will say, grinding boxing to get to Matt, the champion of boxing, just to get some shiny boxing glove is totally worthwhile.
We support gay marriage, we support whatever you are, but that is very gay.
Now, this one hurts a lot, but for some reason as a child, I loved playing baseball in Wii Sports. However, the other two games that we haven't talked about are just untouchable, so we're gonna have to put baseball here. Something about smashing the ball into the stadium really did it for me as a child. Don't ask me why. My favourite part of the game was throwing the ball in stupid ways just by spamming a combination of buttons as I threw. Did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not, but I had fun doing it. I'm putting this above boxing and golf because this game feels a bit more interactive compared to the two. I really like the fact that you essentially get to play two games in one, batting and fielding. Batting is pretty self-explanatory. Players just hit the ball at the correct time to get a good shot on the ball. All you must do is make sure you're not caught out 3 times. You know what they say? 3 strikes and you're out. That wasn't even funny, that's literally an actual baseball saying, but whatever, it's fine, ignore me. Batters can receive many different batting results. These include a strikeout, out, foul ball 4, or a hit. When a player hits a ball successfully, there are several results they could get to. These include a single, double, ground rule double, triple, home run, and out of the park. Honestly, I've never received a ground rule double before, but it essentially means that the ball bounces in the field of play and then lands in the crowd. Bowling is slightly more complex, as there is a lot of technical throwing that pitchers can actually do. Though throwing a ball may seem easy, there's several ways to catch out your opponent. Here are a few examples. Pressing nothing throws a standard fastball, but holding A throws down a screwball. B throws a curveball, and pressing both at the same time throws a splitter. Even 1 and 2 affect the way you throw, creating a sidearm and overhanded pitch respectfully. Though I love baseball, I've never actually been able to beat the baseball champion Sakura. She is pure evil, and she's so good at predicting your throws, so try and change things up when you throw, because honestly, she's a nightmare. Another slight drawback is that, like boxing, only 2 people can actually play baseball at a time, which kind of sucks if you have friends over. All the other sports allow up to 4 players, so in a group setting, you're kind of stuck. Unless you want to just play alone in front of your group of friends, then I guess that works. This may be controversial, but I'm saying that tennis is the second best sport in Wii Sports. Nintendo had previously made Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy in 1995, but this tennis game looks slightly better and was slightly more immersive. When playing tennis, there were 3 different types of matches that were available. This included a single game, a best of 3 game, and a best of 5 game. Each mode required you to win a majority of the games, and if you were playing alone, you'd be paired up in a 2v2 match. One thing I didn't like was solo games against 2 CPUs. Why did they give us the worst player to be our partner when we were against literal champions in Sarah and Elisa? However, the feeling after beating them is unmatched. Too bad we get Chris. You, Chris. As a child, I always swung at the ball and hoped for the best. However, anyone with a brain would know that timing is important, and it can even affect the way the ball bounces. Even the angle at which you hit the ball can affect the projection. My favourite maneuver was slamming the ball, which was achieved by hitting the ball at its peak. Sadly, I learned all of that a little bit too late. I was never really good at Wii Tennis, but it did create a lot of fun memories, and the nostalgia is what makes it so good.
Little love tap on the 10, watch this.
Now, I don't know if this is popular, but I do believe bowling is the best sport in Wii Sports, and Nintendo did a good job in including it. Now, this might sound hypocritical after saying golf was the most boring one because it is very solo. However, bowling is way more fast-paced, and all your friends can join in. Well, at least 3 friends, so if you have more, then I guess play something else. Bowling in Wii Sports was fun because it was surprisingly immersive, with a whole bowling alley setting. From your other pre-made Miis being bowlers next to you, to throwing the ball at your friends, the whole thing was really a vibe. Like tennis, the way you threw the ball really changed the projection of the ball. Again, as a child I did not know this, I was confused why the ball would always curve, but it's not like a curve is a bad thing. Unless it's bowling, with no barriers, then I guess it is a bad thing. Though there is no champion of bowling, once users reach 1,000 skills points, they receive a nice shiny ball, decorated with sparkles. I'm not saying this as a flex, but the fact that my ball is shiny and everyone else gets basic balls makes me feel like I have meaning for once. That is, until I lose the game and then lose all my skill points. But you get the picture.
Ending your essay with "in conclusion" is bland, overused, and predictable.
Looking back, Wii Sports really allowed family and friends to play games in a completely different way. The Wii was revolutionary with its motion tracking, and though many newer and shinier consoles exist, the Wii still has a soft spot in mine and many people's heart, and that's thanks to its lovable partner in crime, Wii Sports. I'm not saying the Wii would have flopped if Wii Sports didn't exist, but allowing players to play sports from the comfort of their own home and play with their friends and family really made Wii Sports special and a timeless classic. However, this was just the beginning. There are many other Wii games that are related to Wii Sports. Maybe we should cover those games soon. In the meantime, make sure to comment what your favourite sport in Wii Sports is, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Anyway, that's it from me. See you in the next one.